Today, we're diving into event email marketing in the age of COVID. My name is Cynthia. I head marketing here at Hive. If you've been on our blogs, if you've read our guides, you've probably seen my name floating around. I'm just super excited about email marketing, and a lot's changed in your industry. So let's dive in. So, like I mentioned, there's a lot of uncertainty in the events industry right now with the pandemic and with all of the changing rules around in-person events. But I think the important thing to remember is that you shouldn't let that hold you back. Your audience still wants to engage with you right now, and they're probably craving entertainment the most right now, right? Everyone's stuck at home with nothing to do. And I think it's important to remember that people still want to hear from you. So it's important to leverage the time that you have right now to send good emails for them to interact with, and to also spend some time making sure that you're really solidifying your email strategy. So when events do kick back, you're ready. You're going to set your brand apart with your email experience. And we're going to dive into all of that today. So I broke out today's webinar into two parts. The first is going to be event email strategies to adapt to COVID-19. So the best ways to engage your audience right now when events, like in-person events, are paused. We're going to share some of our favorite strategies. I think event email marketers have been so innovative and creative. So it's actually been really inspiring to see everyone kind of adapt and change, just because there has been a lot of change, right? And then the second part of the webinar is going to cover more event email strategy best practices. These are must-dos to prepare your email strategy for when in-person events return. So really excited about this. We're going to pause after each of these sections to answer any questions you guys might have. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll visit those after every section. So let's dive right in. First is our top event email strategies to adapt to the COVID-19 landscape. These are the three that we found have helped the clients we work with the most to drive open rates, clicks, engagement, and also revenue in this time. So we're going to talk about newsletters, selling merch, and also having live streams and digital events. There have been so many different ways that event marketers have pivoted and adapted, but these are the three that I think are pretty easy for most brands, whether you run an annual festival or you have a venue. I think they're the most applicable, and I think they're the ones that have seen the most success. So that's why we're going to talk about these specifically today. So first is newsletters. Again, it's really important to keep your audience engaged in this time. One, they still want to hear from you even if your events are paused. And from a deliverability standpoint, I just did a deliverability webinar. If you aren't really familiar with it, we'll send a recording of that after today too. But when you're thinking about how often you're sending to your list, it's really important to send consistently in order to maintain your deliverability over time. So right now, the biggest thing that we're talking about when our customers are like, hey, like, what's the biggest thing that we should do as an event marketer despite everything happening? It's to continue to send emails because you want your list to be engaged throughout this time. So one of the really great newsletters we've seen is Avant Gardener's The Good Stuff. Avant Gardener is a New York City-based venue, and they basically came out with this new newsletter, basically sharing updates on what their team's been up to in COVID, in the pandemic. So you can see Lily in Paradox. Lily is their team member, and they shared how she's been helping the local fire departments and helping and giving back to our community. They've shared how they're offering meal resources to staff. And then there's also fun updates like a margarita recipe, because who doesn't love a margarita? And then for them, like, their team members also work on songs and new music. So they share that in their newsletter too. I think this is such a great way to relate to your audience. If you're worried about whether your main list wants to hear about this stuff, you can basically send an email being like, hey, we're launching this newsletter. Let us know if you want to subscribe to this list or get these types of emails. And the people that do opt in, you can send them this newsletter if you're worried about your entire list, like whether they're interested or not. Sarah, our customer experience manager, wrote an entire blog covering how Avant Gardener did this if you want more specific details on that strategy. But I just wanted to share those screenshots to inspire you. And basically the key points are that you're human, right? And everyone is experiencing this pandemic together. And I think we know that behind every single brand, there are people running the brands. And I think everyone knows that the event industry has been impacted majorly by the pandemic. So it's totally cool to use that to your advantage to be able to relate to your audience. We're all going through this together, so it's like, yeah, we know our events are paused, but here's what our team's been doing if you want to like stay in touch with what's up. And if you can share helpful content that they might be able to relate to, like the recipes or memes that you think are like giving you joy throughout these times, I think that helps because again, it just keeps your audience engaged. And if you have new music too that's coming out, or like if your team's kind of involved in that stuff, I think that's a really good one because again, we're talking about the music events industry, right? And then the second one is Lollapalooza's from the Vault. So Lolla is also another one that's been killing it in these times. They basically did throwbacks and they streamed past concerts, and it's a great way to get nostalgic. So here's an example of their newsletter. They basically scheduled these live streams on YouTube, but they were all past recordings. I think this is a great way to leverage any content you've had of past events to still give people that sense of community and experiencing a live event like this, even though it's from their living room or their kitchen, you know what I mean? So those have been two of the ways we've seen brands use or leverage newsletters or leverage different types of content to continue to engage with their audience. And then the second is merchandise. I think obviously when you're in the events industry, you mostly sell tickets, but a big piece of that is a lot of brands also have merch, right? So it's almost like you're operating an e-commerce store behind all of your ticketing. And it's been really cool to see brands pivot to offer different types of merchandise in these times. The first one is for digital events. So if you still planned in an annual event, let's say, but now it's digital, it's still cool to release merch for that event. I think, again, I'm going to drive back to this point, but your audience, these fans, these attendees, they still want to experience what it's like to have like gone to a concert or a festival. And I think buying merch is a big piece of that, where they want to remember it, or you can order the merch ahead of time and wear it in your living room when you're watching a live stream, right? So I think all of that kind of just drives back to what can you do to almost mimic or create a new digital experience that's just, when else is anyone going to experience what we're going through in these times again, right? It's like, this is just different. It's like the new way of doing events right now. And then the second type of merch is merch to support your crew or your team. Like I mentioned earlier, we're all human and we're all going through the pandemic together. So it's cool to be vulnerable and be like, hey, you know what, like we're doing this to support our teams or to support live music crews through these times. And you'll be surprised that when you're doing something for that cause, how supportive your audience actually is. So that's been really cool to see. And that's a good segue into the third type of merch, where a lot of brands have released merch lines to support important causes. So with everything happening right now with Black Lives Matter and racial justice, a lot of brands have made merch lines specific to this. So all of the proceeds are then donated to the charities that they choose to support, that are related to what's happening. And I think that's been really cool to see. It's also a great way to show your community that you also care and to show what you're doing to help, right? And then the last is to drop nostalgic merch. I know this one depends on what rights you have and if you can still make, or if you have leftover stock from those things, but dropping nostalgic merch. So merch for events or for concerts that happened in the past. It could be a cool like throwback to this. We're gonna drop this for like one day. It's your chance to get it for people that might not have gotten it that time, missed out on it because it sold out, or if they wanna remember it again. I think that's a really cool one. And here are examples. So on the left is the official Lollapalooza merch for Lolla 2020. So they planned this annual festival, right? So they're doing it digital this year, but they still release merch so that people can order it for when they experience the live streams from the comfort of their home. And then on the right is their example benefiting Crew Nation. So they created this line where all of the proceeds are donated to live music crews. And that was really cool to see too. And then lastly is live streams and digital events. So I said in real life, but not. I think it's been really cool to see people shift to leverage digital, right? So streaming events on YouTube or Twitch, and really still being able to create that community or that sense of experiencing something together. At the end of the day, that's what people go to events for, right? Yeah, it's a little different because you're not actually in person, but it's a great way to offer something like that until events can come back. So whether you can still continue with a planned event and now you're streaming it live, where there are no attendees in person, or if you're streaming past events for the nostalgia, I think both work. And you can really leverage or frame both as like this is at a scheduled time. So it's not just sharing like all of your recorded content. I feel like that's not the best way to leverage it. It's more, okay, we're hosting this event. Yeah, it's a pre-recording from the past, but like people need to know that, right? It's just like, okay, we have this event at this time, tune in, have a party with us, enjoy this music with us. And I think it's been cool to see how that's continued to keep audiences engaged. Again, like I mentioned, everyone just wants some way to be entertained right now and to feel like they're experiencing something together with the community when everyone's just isolating at home. So here's an example. We love how Insomniac just pivoted to like Insomniac TV, right? Bringing the best live stream content right to your living room. I love that catchphrase. So they have basically pre-recordings at set times and people can tune in and watch on YouTube, Twitch, and I love this landing page because they have a sign up form at the bottom right that says RSVP for lineups and set times. So this is specifically for those that are interested in hearing about the digital live streams that they have. So it's a great way to almost separate that out from their list. And then on the left is the Insomniac shop. So they're really promoting all of the merch that they have. And I think that's great, like great way to drive revenue there. So does anyone have questions about any of these event email strategies? Let me hop into the chat. Ooh, good question from Sam. Hey, Cynthia, loving the content so far. Wanted to ask how often you recommend sending newsletters. Yeah, so that was the first example that we had was the newsletters, like the good stuff from Avant Gardner or from the Vault from Lala. I think with newsletters, the goal is to keep your list warm, right? You want to consistently send to them because that's going to help you maintain your deliverability in the long run. And I think the important thing there is it really comes down to bandwidth. Obviously, in a dream world, you'd be able to send targeted newsletters every single day, right? That's like been the best case for deliverability. Usually that's with media publications and stuff like that. But I know that that's not reasonable for the events industry. I'd say if you can aim for a weekly newsletter, like if you sent something like the good stuff every week or from the vault every week, that's pretty good. And just to explain a little bit about the technical bits of deliverability there, let's say that you paused all of your communication over the past 4 months because events were paused, which is fair. I think a lot of people in the events industry did that just because there wasn't really stuff to update on, right? If you had to pause all of your events. If let's say the event industry bounces back tomorrow, we have a miracle, we have the vaccine for COVID, and you're ready to start selling tickets and running events again. If you go from emailing no one for 4 months on your list to then sending all of these blasts out, chances are that you're not going to hit inbox placement as well as you did when you were consistently sending emails before the pandemic. So from a deliverability standpoint, if you can start emailing people and warming up your list before events bounce back, you'll be in a better place where your emails are guaranteed to hit more inboxes by doing it that way versus going cold turkey and then right away just starting to email everyone again. That's not the most trustworthy thing to do for your sender reputation. Again, if you're new to deliverability and you want to learn more about it, I just ran a webinar on anything and everything you need to know about deliverability, really broke it down so it's not too overwhelming. We have that recording up on our webinars page, so we'll send that link out in our follow-up email after today. But really, that's the gist of it. That's all you really need to know is that it's better to consistently keep your list engaged and to send those emails than it is to be inconsistent and have random spikes in volume. So I hope that answers your question, Sam. Amazing. I don't see anything else in the chat right now. If you have any questions come up later on, feel free to pop them in and I'll be checking that periodically. We're also going to have a question period right at the end. So let's go to the next section, which is leveling up your event email strategy for when the industry comes back. So like I mentioned in the beginning, this is probably the time where you have the most bandwidth to do these things, because you're not dealing with the logistics of like announcing events all the time or promoting events that you're running. So it's a really great time to look at your email strategy and see how you can make it strong and solidify it for when the events industry fully bounces back and when you can have in-person events again. And the top 3 things that we recommend for all of our events brands to do is to have a good sign-up form. That's a great way to continue to grow your list. To have a good segmentation strategy, right? That's going to help you send targeted emails and personalized emails. And then to have automation set up. This helps you drive merch and ticket revenue. It helps you engage your audience. It's really about building strong relationships with your list through email. And if you have these things in a good spot, I think you'll be good to go. I guarantee that you'll have higher open to clicks, a better engaged list, and honestly see more ticket revenue once events bounces back if you do all these things. So let's dive in. The first one is growing your list with sign-up forms. We always check, the first thing we check when a new customer comes onto Hive is, do they have a sign-up form? Is it on their home? Is it on their website? Is it easy to find? Is it easy to set up? Email is still the best and the top driver of revenue and of engagement out of any marketing tool you can use. So I'm talking social media, I'm talking paid ads. Email is still the best way to communicate and engage with your customers. So that's why it's so important, and that's why we emphasize so much that you should be collecting emails of people that are interested in your brand. So one, proper placement. You must, we recommend having a sign-up form in your website's footer, and then also having a pop-up modal so that it's right in people's face when they hit your website. So here are 2 examples. The top one is in your footer. It's really important to say what mailing list they're joining and what they get out of joining the mailing list. So in this case, get exclusive pre-sale offers, show announcements, and more. We just made this up as a quick example. Insomniacs is like really great now. And then here's an example of the pop-up modal on the Insomniac shop, which we love. As you can see, this one pops up right when you hit that page, and they offer a discount code for their merch, which is, again, a great way to drive signups. It's really important to get that email address into your list, because that's when you have a person that you can start to engage with, start to promote, to buy merch and to buy tickets. So if you don't have a sign-up form in the footer of your website, or if you don't have a pop-up, I think after this, it would be great to get that as one of your goals to set up in the next few weeks or few months. And then another thing that we recommend is a lot of events brands' audience is on social, right? So if you can plug your subscribe, to subscribe to your list or plug your sign up form, when you have moments that you're not promoting anything else on your Instagram, your Twitter, or your Facebook, I think it's great to drive to sign up. You can offer a discount on your merch. You can offer, like, usually it's enough to say you get first dibs and exclusive access to drops, to shows and all of that. And yeah, so I just wanted to quickly mention that social is still a great way to cross promote that you have an email list. And then the second thing is to ask for the right information. So things like asking for gender, and then more importantly in the events industry, asking for interest. When you're in the music events industry, there's stuff like genre or artists or location. If you run multiple venues, that will really help you send more targeted emails later on if you just ask for that on sign up. So the example I like to use is, this is Ian. If you use Hive, you know he's our founder. So let's use him as an example here. He's coming along, and his friends have talked about your concerts. Okay, so he's really interested. He wants to hear when your next concert is. Usually a brand will ask for name and email upon sign up, and that's great, right? You have him in your system. You can start emailing him and start getting him to buy stuff from you. But imagine you also asked for something like his birthday, or where his location, or interests, like his favorite music genres or his favorite artists. that gives you such a more comprehensive and complete view of who Ian is, so that you can start designing emails that you know will be relevant to him and you know that he'll engage with. The more you can target those emails, the higher chance you have of getting conversion. So I want to quickly plug the sign up form builder in Hive. We basically made this tool because we wanted to make it really easy for people to collect information or data they wanted from the get-go. You basically design this, it's really easy, and then you can export the code that you can embed onto your website and stuff, or give this to your devs, or honestly, if you have a dev team, you can probably design like a really like a cuter sign up form. But the important thing I wanted to mention here is these segments. So asking what would you like to receive emails about, and having like your top 3 music genres, let's say, so hip hop, jazz, and folk. Ian probably is only interested in the hip hop, so he would select hip hop, and that automatically drops him into a segment in Hive. And you would know he's in this segment called hip hop. So the next time you have like a hip hop artist in, you know to send that email to that segment of people interested in hip hop, and you'll have a higher chance of, again, driving conversion from these people because you know they're interested in hip hop. So that's a really great way to just ask for information from the get-go, which makes your workflow easier later on. And then another thing we like to remind the event marketers that we work with is you can draw people in with an exclusive offer, right? So whether it's just reminding them that they'll get exclusive access to pre-sales or to tickets when they first drop if they're on your email list, or if you say that they'll get first access to merch that you have, is a great way. You're not even offering a discount at that point. You can if you want to, but again, it's really just leveraging this idea of getting exclusivity because they're on your list. I think really resonates with the event industry, because again, it's like this community that you want to be a part of, that you want access to. A lot of the times it's based on FOMO, right? So it's not even it's like telling people or having them feel like they get first dibs on when they have tickets or when you have merch available. And then the next one is simply run a contest. I think especially if you have merch right now and if you have these like exclusive drops, it's really easy to say on your socials, hey, here's a chance to win this sweater, this like super sick like hoodie and sweatpants set for free. Just like sign up with this contest, like enter this contest by entering your email, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. We have contests built right into Hive, and I think that's a really great way to cross promote, right? If you have really strong followings on social media as well, it's great to get them into your email list, because again, it's easier and it's proven that you'll have a better chance of getting them to convert by sending them emails than just relying on social media to get them to buy tickets and stuff. So really trying to get your social presence in as emails is really important. So does anyone have questions or thoughts about sign up forms so far? Let me check the chat real quick. All right, another question from Sam. What would you say is the most important info to collect on a sign-up form? Yeah, I'd say that this is honestly specific to your event brand, right? It differs from if you're an annual festival to, let's say, if you like run multiple venues. Our team is offering free 30-minute consultations right now, whether you're using Hive or you're using another ESP. So if you have questions about like what to collect or what to segment on, definitely just reach out after this. You can send an email to us. We'll have a link to book a consultation in our follow-up email as well, just because it is like a case-by-case basis. But examples of things to ask for are, I think, music genre. I feel like in music, there are so many different genres that people can be interested in, and the chances that someone loves hip hop and also loves, what's the opposite of hip hop? Opera? That doesn't really make sense. But as an example, let's say, if you asked for the genres that someone's interested in, you'll be able to send them emails or events that are in that genre, right? If you don't ask for that information and you're sending like all the events you have of hip hop and opera, let's say, the chances that they're going to engage or continue to open your emails will decrease over time because they're like, hey, I'm not finding this relevant to me. So the more you can segment on that, I think is important. And then here's another question. Yay, glad I answered your question, Sam. Yeah, definitely like book a consultation after this if you have questions about that. Just because we want to hear a bit more about your brand and like, again, if you have an annual festival or if you have multiple venues or like how your strategy actually works in order to help you pinpoint a segmentation strategy or like what to collect upfront. If you're a current customer too, just ping us, ping your account rep, and they'll happily set up a time with you to discuss that. Natasha had a question, which companies make small batches of customized merchandise? I don't really have examples off the top of my head. I should have included examples here. But I feel like it's just a trend in the industry where, I don't know if you're asking specifically for brands that you can use to create merch. If anyone has companies that they use, please drop it in the chat for Natasha. Or if you're asking me like who's done it in the industry. But definitely if you send me an email after this with that question, I'll dive deeper into that with you. I wish I had more examples here, but it's just been a trend overall from multiple brands where they offer these like exclusive, almost capsule collections of merch. The idea is basically to like leverage this FOMO or even like the hype that comes with having merch that's exclusive that we've seen really perform well. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So Natasha is asking if there are vendors that they can use. Honestly, we don't really have examples because we don't create merch ourselves as Hive. I wish we did. That'd be sick. But if anyone has vendors for Natasha, please drop them in the chat for her. And yeah, no other questions for now. So I'm going to move on. But if you have any, please feel free to drop them there. But yeah, make sure that your sign up forms are in a good spot, are discoverable, and are collecting the right information on sign up. I feel like that's really important. And again, it just helps you have to do less work later on. So next, which is a good segue, is segmentation. Actually getting to know your audience. A good segmentation strategy basically helps you understand your subscribers so that you can send emails they care about. So like I mentioned with that music genre example, let's say you have a list of 800,000 subscribers. Chances are they're interested in different things, right? They don't all have the same taste in music or the same taste in artists that they've seen. Segmentation basically helps you target them better so that every time you send them an email, they know to open it and they know to engage with it because it's relevant to what their interests are. The first thing I'm going to talk about is segmenting by engagement level. So this is something that everyone should be doing. It's really easy and it basically helps you, again, send emails to people that you know are going to engage with them. And it helps you design campaigns to strategically engage people who you don't know if are going to engage. And again, this helps with your deliverability. It helps with getting good inbox placement for everybody on your list. So this is what it looks like in Hive. We believe in this so much that we built it into our email sender. So if you use Hive, you know this is a page you get when you're scheduling an email, breaking it down into the engagement levels for you. So active subscribers are anyone that have opened or clicked your last 5 emails. New subscribers are people who just signed up to your list and haven't engaged yet, but also haven't gotten that many emails, so on and so forth. The important thing to know here is that this is like the best way to segment across your email strategy. And on top of this, you can segment by interest, like genre and all of that stuff. But everyone should be doing this on an engagement level, just because when you're sending your main campaigns, you should only really be sending to your active and your new subscribers, because these are the people that are the most engaged. You know that they're going to open and click your emails. And then for at-risk and inactive, the ones that haven't really opened or clicked your last few emails, you should be sending like win-back campaigns, let's say, that are specifically designed to re-engage them so that you increase the chances that they'll open an email. If you continue to send your main emails to at-risk or inactive people while they don't show signs of engaging, that's just going to damage your deliverability, both for those unengaged people and for your most engaged people. But again, I don't want to talk too much about deliverability here. Check out the last webinar I did if you want to learn more. But really, that's all you need to know. And then for invalid subscribers, these are people who've unsubscribed or who have spam complained. We don't even let you email them in Hive. It's illegal to email unsubscribe people anyway. So we do that. We remove that for you just to help keep your list clean. But if you're not using Hive, you're on another platform, I think it's really important to create these segments. It does take a bit more manual work for you, which is why you should switch to Hive. But I just wanted to mention that here. And then the second one is segmenting by what matters to you. So whether it's past purchasers for specific events or festivals, or if it's by venue or location, or again, by music genre, this is more dependent on your event strategy. So if you have questions about what the best ways to segment for your brand are, definitely reach out to us after this, leverage that free 30-minute consultation. But this is like, again, a great way to gain visibility and understand your audience. So usually when you're in Hive or you're in like your email CRM, you'll be able to filter on these things. And then once you hit the sending stage, that's when you'd segment these people by their engagement levels. I hope that makes sense. So here's an example of a brand that has segmented by music genre. So you can see here they have post-screamo, post-teen pop, progressive electro house, progressive house, and you can see how there are different breakdowns of the number of subscribers in each. So when you're thinking about it this way, let's say that they collected all of this information on sign up too, right? So these are automatically like created from the sign up form and automatically bucketed already for when they're going to do their sends. It's so easy for them when, let's say they're a venue and they have an artist coming in that's progressive house, they know to send to this segment of people interested in that genre of like 111,000 subscribers, that they have that event coming, because the chances are high that if they're interested in progressive house and you have an artist in that genre coming, that they're going to want to attend that event. So that's a really great way of leveraging music genres as segments in order to send those targeted emails. And then another thing I wanted to quickly plug is our event search page. So if you don't have segments set up yet and you want to just see like if there are trends that you can segment on, the event search page is a really great tool for that. So here it has a list of all the events you have. I think this pulls automatically from the integration that you have connected. So for this brand, if you search Budweiser, they have Budweiser Brewhouse as one of their venues. You can select all of these events and then create a segment off of them. Maybe call it like Budweiser Brewhouse or something. You can also search your events based on music genre that pulls now from whatever integration you have connected. So it's a great way to kind of see, like set up segments by searching on the venue if you want to segment by venue, or if you want to segment by genre, by like you can set it up that way. So I just wanted to quickly plug that. So does anyone have questions about segmentation? Check the chat. Okay, no questions so far. I hope that means I'm doing a good job. All right, let's move on. Automations are the last one. I love automations. I'm so passionate about them. They are, I think, the bread and butter of any email strategy. If you're not familiar, automations are basically email campaigns that are set to trigger off of a unique action. So an example is a welcome automation. The trigger there is when someone signs up to your list. So let's say Ian comes, subscribes to your list, that automatically triggers a welcome email to be sent to him. So automations are a great way for you to create these personalized and like one-on-one experiences with your subscribers, but in a scalable way. So you set it up to trigger off of these actions, and then it does the work for you. So it takes like a bit of work to set up in the beginning, but again, having these running in the background for you, since they are already unique to like individual actions or to characteristics, really helps you just continue to engage the right people at the right time. That's why they're so powerful. And then of course, there's a stat that they generate 320% more revenue than non-automated emails. And that should make sense because again, they're personalized and they're triggered off of a specific moment. So you're really nailing like the exact time to send someone an email. That's what makes them so powerful. So for today, we're going to talk about the welcome and the abandoned cart email automations. I think every single event brand should have both of these set up. They're so simple. We just launched pre-built journeys in Hive too. So all the logic is baked in there. It should take like 5 minutes to set up. I'd say the longest part is designing the actual template, but a lot of event brands have their design already decided, right? So really you just like click the email journey type that you want. Like let's say it's a welcome, you set a subject line, you set your template, and it's good to go. So we'd really try to take the work out of like setting up journeys for you. So check that out if you're a current customer. But they're so simple and the ROI is so high on these. So let's start with the welcome journey. Again, it's just to say hello to people that are new to your list. So let's say Ian comes along, he signs up to your list. It's so weird for your customer experience not to have a welcome automation set up. Or I still hear about people that send these out manually, which makes no sense to me. If you can automate it and have your email CRM do the work for you, why wouldn't you set it up, right? So welcome emails, just a few quick stats. They get 3 times more opens, clicks, and revenue per email compared to any other marketing email that you can send. And if that's not enough for you, about 74% of consumers expect a welcome email when they subscribe. So when you're thinking, again, your customer experience, this is definitely a must-have. It feels weird when you sign up to a list and not get any email from the get-go. And it's a win-win situation, right? They perform so well that it just makes sense for you to set it up. And they're, again, a good driver of revenue and a good way to guarantee higher opens and clicks in the future because of your deliverability. So here is a typical setup for a welcome automation. Let's say you don't have a welcome automation set up yet. I'd say just focus on setting up that first email. So welcome to your brand name and include a confirm your subscription button. We recommend having a confirm your subscription as your CTA just because it drives more clicks on that first email. It can still link to your website, but it just works better than a shop now button or a learn more button. It just makes your subscriber think they have to click the email. And again, getting clicks on your first emails is great for your sender reputation and your deliverability. Just good way to guarantee higher inbox placement in the future. And the reason we have emails 2 and 3 are because when you're thinking about automations, best practice is to actually have a series of automations, so multiple email campaigns. So let's say you're like a great email marketer and you already have your first welcome email set up in your automation. I'd say consider setting up a series, so having a second email in your automation and even a third email. The reason we do this is because it's a great way to continue to engage your subscribers that have just joined your list. So your second email can be like exclusive offers and a link to shop now. This is a great place to share if you have new merch or if you are selling tickets to digital events, if you're doing that. And then the third one can be a little more about you. I think in this time with all of these different event brands, we hear often that event brands are like, oh, but like, what do I say about me? We have this like master brand, and then we have these like different brands. I think it's important to think about like what value you're offering to people who are subscribing to your list, right? Like, is it the experience that you have of your annual festival, or is it what you offer with your multiple venues? It's really great to highlight because, again, it's just about building that relationship with your subscribers. It's about sharing what you're offering and why they should continue to stick around and open your emails. So I wanted to highlight that. Here's an example of, this is Hive's blog welcome email. So if you're on the blog, you would have gotten this email. Again, we use that confirm your subscription strategy. It still links back to the blog. This could say anything really. It could say read more or visit the blog. But when you think about it, let's say this just said visit the blog. What are the chances that you would click, right? By using confirm subscription here, still driving to the same thing. You just get higher clicks from the get-go. It's just such a great way to improve your deliverability just by simply changing the copy that you have in your button. So we highly recommend doing that. That's one of our like quick, easy tips. And then here's an example of a welcome email from an events brand. This is Insomniac's email. We think it's great. Again, it welcomes people to their list. It talks about what they can expect from them. They also include a discount code. If you remember that pop-up on their shop, I think it said sign up to receive a 20%. So the welcome email is definitely the right place to include the code if you're promising that upon sign up. And then we love how they have these clickouts. So exploring the events they have, exploring their shop, exploring their new merch line, and having like their music groups linked and all of that. I think this is a great welcome email. It links you to explore more about their brand. It tells you what to expect from the newsletter that you signed up for, and it has a discount code. And again, it's just designed so well and it's on brand. So we love sharing that as an example. And then the second type of automation is the abandoned cart automation. So if you're not familiar, it's basically a reminder to complete your purchase. So let's say a subscriber is on your page and they add tickets or they add a sweater to their cart, but they don't check out. That's what an abandoned cart automation does, is they send a reminder to be like, hey, complete your purchase. So here are a few quick facts. Up to 70% of people who start a checkout don't complete their purchase. And that actually means $2 to $4 trillion a year from abandoned carts are left on the table. So it's so easy to set up a simple reminder because that's a lot of revenue that you can recover. And to make it even sweeter, abandoned cart emails average a 10% conversion rate. So if you can convert 10% of that $2 to $4 trillion a year from the industry, that's a lot of money that you can recover just by having this set up. So here is an example of the abandoned cart email builder in Hive. Remember when I shared those like quick pre-built journey cards? If you clicked set up an abandoned cart journey, this is the builder that you'd get. So you can see we already have copy built in, and this automatically pulls in the event title that they abandoned tickets to. So again, it's just like all laid out there for you. It's really simple to set up. Here's an example. If you're on C-tickets, if you're on that integration, these are actually pre-built for you. So it literally takes like 1 minute, not even, unless you want to change this copy. But if you have the C-tickets integration and you're on C-tickets, these are already like set up in your account. You just have to turn them on, and they're a great way, again, to remind people if they added a ticket to their cart but didn't buy any tickets, to remind them like, hey, don't miss out on Sin Cole Houston. Your tickets are still available. So it just like does so much work. It's just a great way to drive more revenue, and it doesn't really take you that much work to set up. So that's why I wanted to point it out here. If you're not on the C-tickets integration or on the Eventbrite integration, let's say, we're also working on getting that block up for our access integration, so it's coming soon. But let's say you're not on like one of those integrations where we made it really easy, you can still set it up manually, right? So here is our email automations builder. You can click abandoned ticket order. That jumps you into this flow to set it up. This is where you basically set up your time delay. The logic, again, is already built in. So really, you're just setting up the subject line and the email template that people get. So really simple. And here is a abandoned cart automation series. So again, when you're setting up automations, having a series of emails instead of just one email in your automation is best practice. When we're talking about things that drive revenue, like the abandoned cart automation, the series is actually so much more powerful, because when you think about it this way, in the first email, you don't have to offer any discount, right? But if you have a series, that lets you offer discounts later on. But it still like lets you test, oh, does a simple reminder just drive more revenue? So really it helps you offer less discount or incentive for people to complete the purchase by having multiple emails in your abandoned cart series. So the first email could be a simple, still want these tickets? Complete your checkout. Just has a link to go back to the cart to buy now. And then let's say that they opened that email, but they didn't complete their purchase. Then a few days later, they get the second email, which is your cart's about to expire. Here's 10% off. So you can start to pull out a bit of an incentive for them to complete their purchase. Usually, you don't even have to offer a discount. It can just be something time sensitive, right? Like tickets are almost sold out. Last chance to grab your tickets. And usually that works for that second email. And then if you want that third email, you can offer like a bigger discount again if you really want to complete that purchase. Again, in the events industry, especially if you have like an event that's selling out fast, it's really easy to just leverage time and FOMO in order to get people to complete their purchase. So usually you don't even have to include a discount here if you don't want to. I'd say discounts are really helpful when you're selling merch, let's say. So if you're setting up an abandoned cart for your merchandise order or your e-commerce shop, or I mean your merch shop, I think that's where having a discount really helps too. So does anyone have questions or thoughts so far about automations? Let me check the chat. I'll give everyone a few seconds. Yeah, we really wanted to touch on welcome and abandoned carts because I think they're the most important automations, and they're so simple to set up for events. In our first webinar that we ran on email marketing strategy in general, we talked about other types of automations. For example, browse abandonment or win back campaigns to engage people who haven't opened or clicked your emails recently, or even like a new customer thank you automations. There are so many that can help you in your customer journey and like thinking about your customer life cycle of where a subscriber is in buying from you. There are so many options there, but we know that bandwidth is limited for events people. So really just focusing on the welcome email and abandoned cart can drive so much more engagement and so much more revenue. So we really wanted to focus on that one. Okay, sweet, still no questions. I'm gonna move forward. So this is basically close to the end of the webinar. Again, I wanted to remind everyone that we're offering these free 30-minute consultations. So whether you're using Hive right now or not, it's just a great time and opportunity to leverage this time with our email experts if you have questions about your strategy. So we'll take the time to hear what you're currently doing and offer advice on how you can segment better or how you can leverage automations to drive more revenue and to drive higher engagement. If you have questions about deliverability too, this is a great opportunity to ask us. So you can email us at hello@hive. If you're a current customer, you can just reach out to your account rep. And we'll also send out a link to book a consultation in the follow-up to today. So I mentioned our past recorded webinars a ton, but they're all on our website, hive.co/webinar. So we'll link to this in our follow-up too. I talked about the email deliverability one a ton. I think this one, if you're interested in inbox placement and you're interested in getting good deliverability in the long run, I highly recommend rewatching it. I broke down everything that you really need to know. I know that a lot of email marketers find it to be a scary obstacle or find it to be overwhelming to understand. So that was really the focus of this webinar, was to explain it in an easy way, because really deliverability is simple when someone takes the time to explain it. So I highly recommend watching that one if you want to improve your inbox placement. I know in the events industry too, deliverability is such a key topic that people talk about. So highly recommend that. And then the email best practices one is just a higher level general, like what are the email marketing strategies that you should have in place. So we talked more about segmentation and all of the other automations in general. So highly recommend that one too. They're free. It's just like a YouTube video on the site. So we'll link to that after. And yeah, there we go. That was today's webinar. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. I hope that you found this helpful. This is going to open up the floor to any questions that you guys might have. I feel like there was one that popped into the chat. So let me try to open that back up. Question from Greg Green. Do new list members whose email addresses are captured through ticket purchases get a welcome email, or just list members who actively subscribe through a form sign up? Great question, Greg. So I think this depends on the email CRM that you're using and how you've set up your welcome automation. So I'm going to use Hive as an example. Let's say that you have a welcome automation set up in Hive. That's going to send to anyone that's new to your list, I think. I'd say double check with your account rep if you're using Hive on like how that's currently set up. I know for events, like if you're having a lot of people come in through ticket purchase and stuff, some people decide, okay, I just want to set up a welcome automation specific to a sign up form. So that's why, like, I think it's a case by case basis, and it depends on how you choose to set it up. I know that for events too, marketers are worried about like sending too many emails at once, or like having automation send when they're also promoting or like announcing shows and stuff. So we've seen people set up a welcome automation targeted to a specific form sign up, and then that leaves out people who come in through ticket purchases so that you can like schedule a welcome email to them or kind of have that separate if you want to. So yeah, I think it depends on how it's set up in your account. I'd say reach out to your account rep or your CX to see how that's set up right now, because you might be missing people that are coming from ticket purchases depending on how that's set up. Awesome. Glad I can answer. Gonna leave time if anyone else has questions. You can pop them into the chat. But otherwise, again, thank you again for everyone for joining. I hope that this was helpful. I feel like there was a lot of info here. So I hope that there are good takeaways that you can leave with today to set up for your email strategy. And yeah, if you have any feedback on how today went too, please send me an email after this. It's just cynthia@hive.co. I'd love to hear. Thank you, Michelle, for joining today. And yeah, I just hope this is helpful. I hope that you're all doing well. I know that the past few months have been crazy for you in the event space, on top of being in a pandemic just as humans. So just know that we're here for you. And if you have any questions on how to use Hive to power your email, we're here for you. We're here to help. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Sam, Greg, and Dana for your kind words. Glad that this was helpful. And yeah, I'll be in touch. Check out our blog, check out our resources. Again, we'll send out that follow-up email probably tomorrow with all of the info from today, all of the resources that we mentioned. We'll have this recording and we'll share the slides as well. So if you want to share this with your team members that might have missed it today, or if you want to rewatch today's webinar for all the things that we shared, it's all there for you. So it's not stressful or overwhelming. Thank you, Heather. All right, I think that's going to conclude today's webinar. Thanks again. I'll see you guys soon, probably. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I'll chat soon. Bye, everyone.